Hey, welcome. Make sure we're live here. Welcome to Coffee for Life, my semi frequent brain dumps on all things marketing, sales, business development. Sometimes I have bedhead, always have coffee. I'm going to talk about I'm not sure if this live is dripping with irony given the state of the world. But we're talk about polarization, and there's a lot of internet marketers find all these tactics, and it's missing a foundation, right? I'm going to teach this in the content class, this really foundational thing that everybody's missing while they're teaching like these weird tactics and stuff. Okay. But here is the original polarization. Here is, in my opinion, the best way to polarize. And I'm just going to kind of break it down because we can see, again, this is happening. It's June 4th. I think it was yesterday. Drew Brees use his platform, the media, to say something that polarized in a way that he may or may not recover from. And it wasn't intentional, but that's the risk you run when you are polarizing for the sake of being polarizing. If you are polarizing for the sake of being polarizing, so you build into your marketing plan, let's be polarizing, you probably don't have much substance as a human or as a company or as a brand. And here's an example. Just by telling you not to be polarizing the way that marketers have taught you, that is polarizing. There is a number of people that'll go, man, this guy's not really speaking to me. I'm out of here. And they'll, like oil and water, they'll jet the other way. And there's also a percentage, hopefully the people that are on here now, that go, oh, you know what? He's right. I am extremely polarizing, but not in a violent or intentional way. And what I mean by that is I don't polarize to polarize. You create a much stronger bond when you create polarization by speaking specifically to your people. I'll give you an example. When somebody says, hey, Nick, how do I get to $50,000 a month? Or they say, hey, I got to make some sales. What can I do? Hey, I'm thinking about launching this course. Should I do it? I say, it depends. Because it does. That is extremely polarizing. Less sophisticated buyers that, maybe in a lot of pain, so they're looking for a Band-Aid. They go, it depends. Are you an idiot? I thought you were smart. Whatever. And they just go away. That's polarizing. Another segment of the population, the sophisticated buyers, these would be the people that I have in the multi-millions or billion-dollar companies. They go, oh, you're right. It does depend. Why did nobody else say that? It's polarizing, right? So I recommend, if you want sophisticated buyers or not, whoever, you speak to your people. Accuracy and completeness of information and thought is polarizing. It's just not violent. It's not throwing stones. It's simply saying, hey, look over here. We think about long-term consequences. And about more than half the population goes, not interested in that. And they just peace out. They, for lack of a better term, they just fuck off and do something else. And a certain segment of the population goes, oh, that's appealing to me. And it creates a very natural divide that is not violent. We don't have to throw stones at anybody, which I do like throwing stones. I always start these things with internet marketers always say, yada, yada, like I'm throwing stones a little bit. But your language, using accurate, precise, and thoughtful language, is polarizing. It's just not violent. There are far less potential consequences. Being yourself, 100% authentically yourself, is polarizing. Some people just aren't going to freaking like you. That's okay, right? Because we want people to like you and buy from you. We don't want a bunch of people that don't like you to buy from you. They become a pain in the ass anyway, right? So amongst all of this, people taking stances over here and yada, 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 it's great and all. My hope is that the stance you're taking is truly reflective of who you are, because you don't want to get in the habit of taking a stance to throw stones at the other guys. It doesn't scale very well. It really doesn't. So my suggestion to be polarizing is invert always invert. Again, when I say that, people go, nope, that's complicated. I don't want to do that. Give me my two-step funnel. It's polarizing. That segment of the population wants nothing to do with me because I keep telling them it depends. We got to play a longer game. We got to hedge the risk. We can't just go chase upside all the time. 2 or 3 years later, they usually come back and they wish they would have listened. That's all. It's all a form of polarization. So if you're a technician, if you are truly top of field at what you do, if you truly understand dynamic complexities, right? Completeness of information, thoughtfulness, discernment, those are polarizing things. They don't create big Facebook threads of people arguing, but they're polarizing, and it creates what happens is you have clients that appreciate discernment. They appreciate completeness of information. They appreciate you consider your sources, stuff like that. And they are clients for much, much longer, and they bring on more people like them, and there's very little competition. It's not who can throw the most stones. It's that you're the only brand, you're the only company that operates this particular way. Very off-putting to some people, very attractive to others. That is polarizing. Okay. So before you go polarizing, saying things to polarize, in an attempt to get more attention, think about that. Because attention is not really the game, or engagement is not really the game, right? My assumption is buyers, purchases, profit, quality of life. Those are the game, right? So think about that. If you have any questions, I'm here for a couple minutes. I'm jumping on a podcast interview shortly. PPP updates. Dan Nicholson and his tax specialist will be doing PPP updates. And I got to get ready for that content live class I'm teaching, which is really going to get to the foundation of how do you become extremely polarizing just by showing up and being yourself. Jordan Peterson does it really, really well. A lot of people do it really, really well just by fully living in who they are and articulating it to the best of their ability. You automatically have people that are like, whoa, you are not for me. But because there is no argument, they generally don't really argue back. And if they do argue back, here's a stealth influence trick. If they argue back, but there's no initial argument, all of your detractors just kind of look like idiots because they're arguing. There's no argument, right? So they're like responding to a question you never asked. They are trying to argue about a statement that was never made. It makes your brand much stronger when instead of going back and forth with somebody, if somebody's looking at a comment thread or Twitter feed or Amazon reviews, all the detractors just look like they're making some random statement. It makes your brand a lot stronger because it discredits the detractors of your brand, right? So a lot of people think polarization is all about just like clashing heads. That could be. It's also the most exhausting, least profitable, least enjoyable form. Polarize by being useful, by being complete, by following through, by being honest. Things that are not typical. It may seem like your competitor has an advantage because they're willing to say things that aren't true. But by saying things that are true and explaining what makes them true, you are polarizing and, right, really, really important, you're being more ethical, which really it does pay off in the long run. Okay, hopefully that's useful. Coffee for Life. You can search hashtag Coffee for Life. If you want to, let me find it here. If you want to join the content class, go to earncustomersforlife.com, buy the book. It's like $6. It's going to be a pretty cool class. I'm teaching it over 5 days. And I'm really going to show you how to get to the bottom of powerful content that is polarizing, compelling, and all that stuff. I don't care if you do video. I don't care if you write it. I don't care if it's a podcast. Most people, dripping with irony again, most people really should not make more content because what they're making right now is so surface level. It's not entertaining, it's not useful, and it's not achieving what we want to achieve with our content, which is not get eyeballs, but break beliefs, rebuild beliefs. So I think most people should not be making content, not until they at least understand like the foundation of what makes content valuable. Cool. Hopefully I see you guys there.